Good evening, everyone. This is Tala with Drive-thru Therapy. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight on another episode. I'm always grateful for your support. Thank you for coming back. If you are returning and if you are new, welcome. You are in the right place. If this was attractive to you in any way, if any of these topics were attractive to you, you are in the right place. You're meant to be here. So welcome. I've been kind of noticing that I'm avoiding talking about the holidays. And I think last year I made a couple of episodes that were pretty specific. There was like one about the Holiday Family Fight Club. And then I did another one too on, I forgot. But I really made a place for the holidays in those episodes, right? It's like it was a specific marker that said, hey, it's holiday. I put out a holiday episode. And I noticed I didn't do that this year. And I'm realizing that I think because I'm home a lot and in the pandemic situation, it's kind of blending in quite a bit. I don't think it's good or bad. I have no opinion about it, but it's just kind of blending in. So I'm continuously working on myself because that's what I do. It's funny. You think I'm working with people or on people. I'm not. Most of the time I'm working with myself. But I'm thinking about this and I'm like, Tala, why didn't you put anything out? And really, I think it's because, like I said, it's all blending in together. And it got me thinking about an important marker that I'm noticing this year that maybe I didn't notice as much last year, which is, I guess, it's a blessing. And that is the marker of the new year coming up here. What does the new year mean to you? And I think for many people, it is a milestone or a marker, a new one that we would like to meet. There's the idea or the concept of a new year, new you. And we'd like to change. People like to usually think of change in a physical sense, right? I want to get a treadmill. I'm going to start jogging, exercising, and I'm going to start different habits. But I wanted to approach it in a different way because I kind of thought, what would be the most beneficial thing that anybody needs to know on this new year? And I was thinking for myself, what do I continuously want to do every new year? And that would be shedding more of old ways, shedding more of the old man or woman, and bringing that person into a new year. And every year I want to shed more and more and become lighter and lighter. And today, we're going to get there. I want to do this in December. So this way you guys are ready for the new year. You have a plan of this shedding and you can start gathering this information that you need right now. So you can prepare for this shedding that you're going to do intentionally for this new year. You can listen to this episode as many times as you like. As all the other episodes, this one is timeless. And it's meant really to be a support to you. You listen to it whenever you want. And it helps with mental conditioning because the more we listen to something, the more we rehearse it, the more we review it and replay it, the more it becomes part of our habits. That's how all habits become habits. We keep rehearsing them and repeating them, but most of them are developed unintentionally. Today, we're going to talk about how we can develop them intentionally. I'm not trying to add anything onto you. It is about shedding. So we don't want to be a new you, old you. No, it's about shedding what is no longer serving your highest good. And sometimes approaching it like that is like overwhelming. Like, Tala, come on, you want me to, what is for my highest good? What does that mean? Give it to me in little pieces. And I'm about to give it to you in little pieces. So this way, it's somehow attainable and action-packed and accessible to you. So that you're not sitting there like, I don't got a plan. Oh, no. Today we're going to have a plan of what that shedding would look like. Now you can add any other information to it. But this is a good, solid foundation to have that is going to help you out. Again, most of what I'm going to talk about today is not necessarily starting of new habits, but rather shedding the old stuff we do, like that's causing us a burden every year. And it could be definitely elevating our life into a better quality. Now, let's talk about the word shedding. Out of any word that I could ever use, I used the word shedding because I wanted it to be visualized in your mind that there are things in my life on my emotional, spiritual self the soul that's inside, or whatever you call it, whatever that lives in you that's on the inside, there is a consciousness that needs relief, that needs to be shed, cleaned up, made lighter. And unfortunately, with time, if we don't clean that house within, then it becomes heavier and heavier. We just carry it on. We don't confront nothing. We gotta repress it, put it in the back. Like, oh, I'll work on it later. I'll do it later. We're just waiting for the right conditions, whatever we think these are, in order for us to start paying attention to those things I'm going to mention today. But it's those specific things that I'm going to tell you to do today that's going to really elevate the quality of your life. It's going to help you shed old beliefs, perhaps, old ways of doing things on the inside, old processes and thinking, whatever you're carrying around that may inhibit you or sabotage your moment in the day. That's what we're going to help you relieve for the next year. Okay? And so this is going to be done, if you want, every year, every day of the year, to work on these specific things. Now, going back to the word, the reason why I said that word is because it's been kind of referenced in a biblical sense, and I like the way it's been used. It's the shedding of the old man. You put on the new psyche of the new man, the transformed person, right? So I like this idea. So we're going to use it. But also, if you think about it in the Buddhist faith, the practice of non-self or no self is really an important idea referred to as a form of believing in impermanence. And I've talked about that before, but it is the fact that whatever lives within me, the consciousness, the soul, whatever you want to call it, whatever that lives in me is impermanent. It is going to live on forever. The concept is that I am beyond this physical body. I'm beyond my thoughts or what I attach identity to, meaning a job, a car, my family, my name, my status, all this, what I perceive as a self or identity, it is actually a lot of weight and burdens to carry. It is all these things that make me think that I am permanent, that somehow things can end. So getting into an impermanent state of thought, you kind of start to lose fear of losing anything, really, because your identity wouldn't be attached to anything. So that would mean freedom for all of us, friends. That's what it would feel like, is when I shed this identity that I've attached to beliefs or thoughts that I've had, that I am blank and I am this and I am that. It's shedding those beliefs that may not serve me well and that may limit me and sabotage my moods, my life, my everyday, my interactions with others, perhaps. All that stuff eventually must be shed in order for us to live lighter. So, yeah, that's why I'm using the word shedding. And I think it's a good visualization practice, that I'm actually shedding these old, heavy beliefs. These beliefs I've attached my identity to, okay? These things maybe that I would say every day, which also, of course, come from beliefs, because that's your lens. So you choose to use whatever words you use. It's not something that you have to say. You don't have to say the things that you say. You don't have to believe the things that you believe, but you choose to believe them. And so sometimes what we choose to believe may not be helpful to us, may not be for our highest good. So this is a good start for us to clean that house within. Okay, let me get to that list. Okay, number 1. You really want to ask yourself, what is a priority for me in this new year? What's a priority? If I'm being honest with myself, what have I made a priority in my life? What do I think about all day long? What do I worship in my head all day long? Is it worry? Is it stress? What is it what I'm doing here? I have to be honest with myself in answering this question. So the first thing I want you to really make a point in doing is make living in the moment a priority for you. If that's not a priority for you, then I don't know what the hell is a priority for you, because We're not living in the future, friends. That already met the past. It's gone. And so I don't know what you're doing when you're worrying about the future or reminiscing on the past. Like, I don't know what you're doing, because everything that you need is right in the moment you're living in. That means mentally and emotionally, I need to be in the moment, not outside of it, in the moment to enjoy life. It doesn't seem, I don't know, as a way to enjoy life by I'm sitting with my family, I'm talking to them, I might be eating a meal, but my mind is elsewhere. I miss out on the conversation. I miss out on enjoying them, on the laughter, on the jokes, because I'm too busy worrying about important things that are not in front of me. So make it the most important thing in your life. The most important thing is to be in the moment. You don't want to ever be out of it, friends, ever. You want to be in the moment. Make it a practice that is almost like religion based. I'm in the moment, people. I'm in the moment. Our baggage starts to pile on when we put other thoughts and other beliefs and other patterns in our thinking and emotions that are not in the moment. That's when baggage really feels heavy within us all day long. And we're doing this effortlessly because we've habitually practiced it for years. So in order for us to get this cleaned up, friends, we have to make this a priority. You have to promise yourself that you are going to make this a priority. And what I mean by priority, friends, is not like, oh, when it's convenient, I'll practice meditation once a day, twice a... No. I mean like I am thinking, prioritizing, bringing my mind back here. And when a thought is not about the moment, then I need to kind of surrender it. Yep, I need to release it to the winds, to the gods, whatever you need to do. Just surrender that thought. You don't need to think it through. If it's about worrying, if it's about stress, if it's about the future, the past, oh man, we're missing out on life. I don't know what you're living, but you ain't living your life because you're not in it. You're not in it. Your mind is elsewhere. So make this a priority. A priority means that if you decided, like if you made it a test up priority, I'm sure you'll be studying for it a lot, right? That's what I mean, a priority, like really seriously a priority. All right. Even though it is redundant in practice, I need you to make it a priority, like not a joke. I'm not even just saying, oh, a little bit when it's like, oh, it's a nice day, being in the moment, putting some aromatherapy somewhere. No. I'm practicing it hardcore. I'm so disciplining my mind that day and every day, that if my mind is not in the moment, it's not appreciating the moment, is not seeing the beauty of it, then it ain't worth it. At that point, you're not actually living, you're just existing. And that's lonely. That's lonely because your own self-involved world, you're missing out on every gift you got in front of you. And you need to be aware and open up these gifts because they're all for you. Your family, your friends, the food you're tasting, the walk you're walking, the roses you're smelling, they're all gifts you are being handed. And I need you to appreciate and unwrap every one on purpose. Every pieces of those gifts on purpose. So the next part of our continued chitting would be to expose any beliefs you have that says when I worry and stress, then I get more responsible, or that I need to worry and stress in order for me to keep the money that I have. Because without worrying and stressing, I would somehow be irresponsible and I wouldn't be able to keep the money. So whatever belief you guys have, if you're stressing about money or finances in general, especially when you're no need for it, you're making it every month, you're paying the bills. But it's kind of like the idea of, I worry about bills and I gotta think about the bills I gotta pay, and even though I pay them every month, people, and it's still the same amount and it's still the same things, it's not a shocker to me, I still act like it's a traumatic event every freaking month. Now, if you've had that habit, please go ahead and shed it for the new year. You don't need to worry about bills in order for you to pay them. You don't need to worry about money in order for you to keep the money. It's just simply I work, I get paid, and then I pay those bills. They get distributed. That's it. I don't have to worry. But sometimes we grow up with that conditioning that, we saw a parent that worked way too much or even didn't even work way too much, but just worked enough and always made it. But always stressed out loud, had to worry, and we perceived that might be responsible, and we caught that habit and we continue it on. So we want to shed this though, because after a while this becomes a burden. It's like, in order for me to be responsible, I gotta stress and worry because that's what responsibility is, rather than engaging a new belief, perhaps, that doesn't identify with stress and doesn't identify with worry as being responsible. Perhaps doesn't identify with any of those things. No identity at all in them. I just work. I just pay my bills. I do it every month. That's cool. Yeah, it's effortless. I do it. I'm to be trusted. I do it every day. I don't need to police myself on the inside and nag myself all day to death in order for me to pay bills. I just pay them, friends. I just pay them. That's it. They happen every month. It doesn't need to be trauma. Okay? So this is something that I often see with patients. They have this belief. And so if you do, we want to shed that thing. We want to just make it lighter for you. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm asking you to do here, and of course, because it is absolutely your choice whether you choose to do it or not. So I know I'm just suggesting it to you. And that would be confronting resentments or anger and making forgiveness a way of life by practicing it continuously. And I mean forgiveness as a way of life. That means I also would make that a priority, forgiving people. Finding out what my anger really means on the inside. Being honest with myself. Do I really want to carry this anger, carry this grudge? Who am I hurting when I carry this grudge or anger? Is it the other person or is it me? Do I like myself better when I have anger or resentment? Or do I like myself better when I'm able to forgive? Asking and investigating these important questions within you is going to help you get to a place where, you know what, it just makes sense to forgive because I got nothing else at this point is working out healthier for me except forgiving. And I want to go straight to forgiveness because I could mention anything, but forgiveness is pretty important because psychologically, chemically, the act of forgiveness just does something to you that just makes you feel so much better, so much lighter. Imagining carrying resentments or grudges and not forgiving people that, you know, deep down inside, we need to forgive. That's the stuff that carries on into the next year and the year after that and the day after that and the day after that. And so you want a biggest bang for the buck for shedding by practicing forgiveness. And I mean, it's practice, friends. Like this takes practice. Notice I didn't say just go ahead and forgive. No. I mean, it's practice. So I got to read about it, study on it. Again, we make it a priority that I will practice a way of life where forgiveness is part of it because it just energetically changes and transforms you beautifully and you feel lighter and brighter. Okay. So forgiveness is a way of life, friends. Practice. Okay. Because I know it's for many people, not the first thing that comes to mind. Right. And for many of us, we may have used anger and resentment as a motivator for so long. You know, when we get angry, we start getting motivated to do stuff. We have to practice forgiveness in order for us to get motivated now. And we're in a different stage in our life. We are working on ourselves and we are transforming. We are shedding some shit. So we got to shed that shit and put some beautiful practices of forgiveness. Again, if I don't know what forgiveness is, I'm going to be reading, listening, studying it until I'm able to do it. Okay? Because that information may not be as accessible. And the easiest way to practice forgiveness is to remember when you were forgiven for something and how you were shown mercy for something. And that always brings me down to earth. If I think I can't forgive someone, I remember the day I was forgiven for something. And boy, oh boy, it brings me down to earth, gets me off that damn pedestal, and helps me forgive a lot quicker because I felt the relief that a person gave me when they forgave me for something. And so I get to relive it and re-feel it again. And it's the gift that keeps on giving when somebody forgives you. And I want to give that gift back. I hope that makes sense. All right, we're on to it. You guys, we're going to be this year shedding some pounds, psychological ones. Oh yeah, psychological ones. All right. Now, the next thing I want you to do is to oh yeah, I've talked about this before, but it's always good to repeat. Be careful what you say every day, you know, every day. The stuff that you say out loud, the stuff that you say to yourself, it is basically your lens. You are looking at your world. You're the one talking about your world, about yourself in the world. And you are coloring that lens and tweaking it with whatever words you use, basically. So you change your words, you practically change that lens in which you view the world. It's that simple and it's that real. For example, when people say things like, sometimes it's easier said than done. I'm like, who said that? That just sabotaged and shut down any possibility of progress and change. And so that's not a good thing to say. Imagine what you shut down before you even think about or investigate a little further to find out if it could be useful to you. So if you say things like that, it will certainly sabotage and act as a weight that is going to be burdensome eventually with the way you see our world. I often give feedback to people on things, and they come in to see me for the purpose of change. And when I suggest something, oh, Tala, some things are just easier said than done. Oh, that's why we practice. And then they become easier, friends. If we keep practicing, they'll become easier. Okay. Make no mistake. If you just shut it down right away, it's because we don't want to do the work. So stop saying shit like that. It sabotages your world. It's a self-imposed limitation you're putting. Like, nobody else is telling you to say that. You're saying it from your own generosity of your kind heart. That's what you're doing. So another thing that people say too is life is hard. Life is hell on earth. Those are common things that we say. People suffer. Life is suffering. Like, this is the lens you choose to look at your world in. And I'm telling you, it's a choice. It's a choice. Right now, if I say life is hell on earth, but I'm not sitting in hell. Like, I'm not burning up in flames. Nobody's putting a gun to my head. Nobody's telling me don't drink water, don't eat. I have the privileges of anything I want in this moment to do. I have a breath in my lungs, and I have my vision, my sight, my hearing, all of this. It's right there. And I have every freedom I need at this moment. So the fact that I'm introducing these thoughts or beliefs or concepts, I need to shed these beliefs, these old beliefs that I keep repeating over and over. I ask myself, do I even need them? Do they hold me back from living a quality of life that I want to live? Because if I keep saying some things are easier said than done, then I'm going to make that shit happen. I'm going to go ahead and judge it right away before I even investigate further, try it out, practice it. I'm telling you, I don't even want to practice anything. It's easier said than done. Well, I got it. That's why you got to do it. You got to keep doing it until it gets easier. Okay? That's the thing on that. So stop saying these self-imposed limitations. Shed them out. Like, start interrupting them when you do hear yourself saying them out loud, or even to yourself if you can. All right. The next thing I want you to pay attention to is, oh man, I love this one. Accepting my contradictions. Accepting the contradictions that I have within me. Again, accepting, for example, that I am not healthy in order to be healthy, right? But if I keep kind of accepting this current truth that I'm maybe don't prioritize healthy eating habits, for example. I don't prioritize exercise. I don't really prioritize any of these things. I just make excuses and say, you know what? Right now I can't go to the gym. You know, I don't have enough time to go walk outside. I'm just busy all day long. I don't have enough time to do this. I don't have enough time to watch what I'm eating because I'm on a run. Whatever. Like, whatever justification you're making, I get it. I totally get it. But nothing changes until you accept that you are not healthy in order for you to get healthy, for example, right? You have to accept that you have this contradiction within you. If you don't identify and accept, and I didn't say you have to agree with it, I just said accept it. Most people confuse acceptance with agreement, but it's not. Acceptance just means acceptance. It doesn't mean I have to agree with it. I just know it's there. So another acceptance would be like, I accept, for example, that I'm not a good friend in order for me to be a better friend. I accept that I'm not a good mom in order for me to be a better mom. Okay? I have to accept the contradictions that I'm refusing to accept and just making excuses for. Like, oh, you know, kids are just so hard and it's just hard to deal with kids and it's just blah, 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 and I make excuses, right? And I just was yelling at my kid because they're always just being bad and they're just not listening and they're not, right? And I'm like, okay. And I mean, as long as you say that, you will continue with those behaviors. But if you accept, as hard as it is, friends, as hard as it is, if you accept the contradiction, right? Which in this case would be a truth. If you accept the truth that maybe, hey, I'm not prioritizing emotionally my parenting world, right? I'm not prioritizing that. I'm just kind of going with it. I'm just doing what I've been doing forever. I'm doing what's convenient, and maybe yelling to me is convenient. Maybe keeping them busy with something instead of actually doing something with my children is just convenient for me for now, right? It's just convenient because I'm so tired and I can't pay attention to my kids. And whatever the contradiction is, you need to identify it. Again, you can't change it unless you admit what it is, right? So accepting the contradiction, accepting it. Let me think of another example. Okay, so we got those two examples. I accept that I'm not a good friend, for example, to be a better friend. But if I keep gossiping about you, for example, to another friend, or judging you because of your choices, then I'll have to admit, like, hey, I'm not a friend. I'm not a friend that I would want to have for myself. So why would I want that for you? But accepting those truths really gets us, even though they're hard. And I'm not saying they're not, but the benefit outweighs the discomfort. It absolutely does. So try it out. Write a list of stuff that you would have difficulty admitting about yourself, about where you're currently at. For example, I would admit that, let's just say, I don't clean my car. I really don't give that a priority. So I wait till the last minute to clean it, for example. I have to admit that, like, it's not a priority for me, in order for me to maybe make a plan in which I can either pay somebody to clean it or just suck it up and clean it myself. But whatever it is, it will give me from that point to decide a plan on what I can do to move forward. But if I just never admit that it's a problem and that it's there and I just make excuses, then it never gets done. Do you get what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense. So important. In the year 2021, we are going to be moving forward. And I mean moving in a good speed, in a good steady speed. So basically emotionally becoming more mobile by shedding these extra little emotional pounds. And they're not little, they're actually significant habits that we might have. I'm assuming here we might have them, but if you do have them, it would just benefit you tremendously to confront them and to get yourself ready for this 2021, because we're going to make this the year that just helped us shed so many old ways. This is it. This is when we can do it. 2021. All the foundations are in the right location and the structure can be much more stable this time if we do those things. And from that place, you can build whatever you want because the structure is stable. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I hope this was helpful to you. I know darn well that these things have been helpful to me and I recognize them within myself. So I always remind you that there's no perfection here. I work on these discomforts consistently. That's why I come here and let you know about them. How I do it, I'd want you to do it. How I would teach others to do it is the same way. And you're not having to pay any fees or copays or insurance for that. You're getting it for free. And that's what it's for. So let's make those things a priority and let's start shedding those pounds. This episode is dedicated to the memory of the monster. Mr. Monster, that is. We're sending you love and light wherever you're at, as you did for many. This has been an episode of Drive-thru.